Welcome to Say the Truth. My name is Ray Cruz. I'm sitting in for Freddie Henderson, who is missing today's show, not because the Lakers lost, because he is working. I have Jonathan there. Jonathan Mathis here. How you doing, Jonathan?
Hey, what's up, Ray? How you doing, man? I mean, life could be a lot better here in the suburbs of Los Angeles, but hey, you know what? They won the chip last year. Too bad they couldn't pull through this year.
So how's it around LA right now? All moping around. You see the LeBron
Yeah,
sighting?
yeah. Well, the mood here is, you know, kind of whatever right now. People are, you know, a lot of people have mixed emotions about it. Some people are bitter, then other people are saying, well, hey, we got a chance to do it again next year.
Yeah, they got a lot of memes going around on Facebook, and there's one meme that
Yeah.
has all the starting five on it, and it says that all starting five is missing Game 7 tonight.
Well,
That's just
obviously they couldn't get to a game 7 because they got eliminated in game 6. So obviously, yes.
yeah. Let's get started here, and we'll talk about the Denver and the Portland series. Now, my take out of this series is I think this is one of the best series in the first round at all the games that have been played. This was the most competitive one, even though the Phoenix Suns did beat the Lakers. But I think this right here, the Portland Denver game was very entertaining. You had the Joker versus Dame Time. It brought out the new nickname for Damian Lillard, Dame Time. I mean, this game went down very, competitively. So, what's your take on this game?
Man, Damian Lillard, man, he's a workhorse. Okay, the guy is an amazing player. He reinvented the three pointer. He has taken his game to another level. But what's been hindering his success for many, many years now is not having a strong supporting cast around him. You know, yes, he has CJ McCollum in the backcourt with him. That right there created a prolific backcourt, right? But it's not enough, And for many years, this team hasn't had enough firepower. We saw that again. Damian Lillard looked exhausted last night, even though he was playing his tail off. Um, just a stupendous performance from a guy who's been trying to get out of the first round for a very long time now, who's been in pursuit for a championship, but sadly just doesn't have enough reinforcements to get over that hump. I don't care how many points you put up in a game. You're not going to win if you don't have a sidekick, if you don't have multiple stars in your team to help you. And that's what we've seen from Portland. He does not have enough help from his supporting cast. It showed again last night. Denver, on the other side, they have plenty of help. You have Michael Porter Jr. going off to open the first half. You had Austin Rivers, who the Nuggets called. He was at home sitting on his couch, and the Nuggets called him to come and put on a jersey, and he's been utterly impressive ever since he's joined the team. And then you have Jokic, of course, who put together an MVP-like season, who's had a monster, season. And look what he's been able to do. And they're doing all this, my friend, without Jamal Murray, who went down with a season-ending injury. So you could just imagine how much better they would be if they had Murray inserted in that offense. But again, for the Denver Nuggets, a lot of the credit goes to Michael Malone. Let me make sure I correct myself. Michael Malone. A lot of credit goes to him for being able to create a winning culture in Denver. And he always has his players prepared for these big moments, and they live up to these big moments. And when the lights are on, they turn it on. They take their game to a whole nother level. So overall, the Denver Nuggets just had a better supporting cast, and they had guys that can just shoot the basketball. And Portland on the other end, yes, they had Damian Lillard, but again, he didn't have a strong enough supporting cast to help him, finally escape their first round Rose.
Yeah, I can see that too. But the Portland Trailblazers also only have one person really come off the bench and score 14. And Anthony scored 14 points. I mean, they didn't really have much bench play. If you look at it, Lillard had 28, McCollum had 21, Powell had 17, and then the center Coven had 11, and Nurkic had 13. But I think Portland is also missing a person who could be a slasher for him too. If you got Lillard up there, you got some slashers going into the small forward. Also missing a defensive presence too, because I mean, Nurkic had Nikola Nurkic had his way with him. He was a dominant machine in there. They really had nobody who can match up with him. So I mean, if we're looking at now going into the next round, with Denver and the Phoenix Suns going, would this be a different series for the Suns, or will the Suns have to play just like they did against the Lakers? And my question for you is, did the Phoenix Suns use all their energy just to get through the Lakers, and will they have enough firepower to go up against Denver? And Denver did take the series 2-1 over the Phoenix Suns. So what's your thought on that?
Yeah, they did. They did in the regular season. They had a better record than them in the regular season. Now, do I think they use up all their energy playing against the Lakers? No, because they have time. They had a day or two off, right? They know what's at stake. They know what they need to do moving forward. I think more than anything, it's the matchup that could cause a problem. You see Jokic has wreaked havoc inside the paint. Do the Phoenix Suns have someone who can stop him inside the paint? I know they have DeAndre Ayton, but I don't think that's enough. I don't think he'll be able to stop Jokic, because Jokic is good at spreading the floor because he has a jump shot. He has the ability to establish a post and make an incredible hook shot. Look, sometimes resembling Kareem's game out there. The guy can hurt you in so many ways because he has that mid-range jumper and he has that smooth shot, that smooth jump shot that can really hurt the opposing team. So I think, to answer your question, I don't think the Phoenix Suns have anyone who can stop Jokic. I think Jokic will have a field day in this series. Now, that's not to take anything away from the Phoenix Suns, because, look, the Phoenix Suns, they now have a solid backcourt, right? Made up of Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul wasn't 100% in the series against the Lakers, but with his veteran experience and with his, his will to play, and with his heart, his competitive fire, he was able to be a guiding, I want to say, a guiding force for the Phoenix Suns, because he came in and he also cultivated that culture as well. So, and then you have Devin Booker, who the Lakers completely had no answer for. I mean, he just torched them. He torched that defense. He made the Lakers look silly. Okay. There was times last night that my feelings got hurt because I saw Kobe out there, man. I saw a younger version of Kobe going against the Lakers, and it broke my heart, and the Lakers simply had no answer for that. But I think in the best of 7 series, I think the Nuggets just have enough to get by and beat the Phoenix Suns.
Now, I think you own something there, but I also think I'm on something too here. How about if the Phoenix Suns starts pushing the pace and Joker can't keep up the pace? Because if you look in that Portland game, he looked like he's getting winded and stuff like that. So if they go fast pace, beat him down the court and score before even the Denver defense gets set up, that could be a advantage for the Suns right there. And that's a possibility because, Chris Paul, he's a good coach on the floor. And so he'll know how to push the pace, when they need to push the pace.
Yeah.
And if everybody follows his leadership and like they've been doing, I think Phoenix but I think the games will go 7 games, and I think it will come down to part if the Suns can run fast break them and Joker can't come back, then it can't keep up, then the Phoenix Suns can win. But this series could be anybody's series. I know it's probably going to go 7 games before anybody decides. So I think I'm going to stick it out. I think I'm going to call Denver on it because just a little bit of touch of defense and then the Joker, he's the game changer. I mean, if they can't stop him and if they can't find a way to slow him down, then it's gonna be awful. But I mean, yeah, Murray is missed dramatically with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, he was the soulmate, he was a running mate with him. So I mean, it's going to take a team effort from Denver, and it's going to take a team effort from Phoenix to beat this team. So that's my opinion. So the next one we want to talk about is the Phoenix Suns versus Lakers, but I want to do this a little bit different. I want to break it quarter by quarter, and I want to get your point of view at the different spots in this game. And I want to get you, since you're a Laker fan, I want to get your point of view on some of the same. So we'll start with the first quarter. The score was 36-14 after 1. Did you think the Lakers played, not with heart in that first quarter?
Yes, I do. I think they didn't play with enough heart. To me, at times, it was as if they didn't care. They knew that they had a game that night, and they showed up as if they didn't have a game last night. There was a lot of empathy. There was a lack of competitiveness from them. Like I said, it was as if they didn't want to be there last night. And this was an elimination game for the Lakers. So with that being said, your initiative should be to come out with aggressiveness, to come out of the gates with some type of sense of urgency, right? I didn't see that from the Lakers. Now, I saw it a little bit in the second half. They kind of showed some more fight in the second half. But what killed them was the fact that they looked completely out of sync in the first half. They didn't, really shoot the ball well. LeBron looked like he was disengaged, as if none of it mattered to him. And then I think Anthony Davis's groin injury, I think that just took a lot out of him. That just right there, that just sucked all of the air out of the building. The Lakers at that point didn't have enough firepower to continue playing. They gave up on themselves, okay? They gave up on themselves. They gave up on the city. I think that game 5 loss was so deflating. It was a deflating loss that the Lakers, after that, they just were defeated. There was no way of, savaging their season. It was a wrap for them. After that, I even said that after the game 5 demoralization, the Lakers would not come back. They would not recover from this. And I was right. They didn't. So, I mean, LeBron, we talked about this too, my friend, that father time is creeping up on this dude. And he's at the tail end of his career. He's a step slower. He's not the same LeBron anymore. Okay, now, a lot of people say, well, he's the greatest of all time. No, he's not. Stop. That's ludicrous. That's nonsense. He's not the greatest of all time. But this game to me last night was just hard to watch. It was so frustrating, my friend. There was a point where I just wanted to turn the game off, but I couldn't because I was covering the game, so I had to watch it all the way through. But it was a tough pill to swallow. It wasn't as bad as game 5. I mean, game 5 was just an utter embarrassment for the Lakers. And that night, they just completely embarrassed the city and the fans, with that awful performance of theirs, one that kind of dictated the outcome of the series, I think. That's what made all the difference for the Lakers. But you know, now's the time for Laker fans to come in if they want to join our show. And now, you know, you guys can sign up for grief counseling with the sports judge here, and we can get through this together. Because I know it's a tough day here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and take your point from Game 5, and this is my situation. This is my problem with yeah, we had some certain players in the past have left the game early and stuff like that, like the whole Detroit Pistons in the Chicago series left the game early. But I think today's game, when you have a leader of the team actually walk off the court with 6 minutes and some odd seconds left in the Game 5, I think that took away from his leadership role. Players saw that and knew he just took off. Yeah, they could play it off, and he's going back to get, treatment on his ankle and stuff like that. I understand that. I understand the injury part. But also players don't understand, too, he's a leader. Why is the leader leaving the court with 6 minutes to go in a game? And I think that deteriorated into game 6, where the in the first quarter, and then Anthony Davis re-injured his groin. I think that set the Lakers back because everybody was anticipating Anthony Davis to be there for the whole entire game. So that first quarter set the tone for the rest of the quarter. But then you got the second quarter come up where the Lakers outscored the Phoenix Suns 27-26 by 1 point. At that point, to me, I think the game was a little bit of turning, with Phoenix being a little bit lackadaisical in the second. And then the third quarter, I think the miscomplacement of the Phoenix Suns, had a big lead. And then the Lakers, went on a 35-27 run in the third to cut the lead down. And then after that point, then the Phoenix Suns rebound their intensity up. So to me, I think if you look at the second and third quarter, LeBron started playing, showing a little bit of leadership. But then that fourth quarter, when he raised his hand for the tire signal, I think that's a little bit of lack of, not leadership for him, because he could have stuck it out. Because he always say, if you listen to some of LeBron's thing, he said he could play the whole entire game without taking a rest and be ready for the next game. Now look what he did. You say he was tired, raised the tire signal up. I think that was just showing him giving up, putting that white flag up and saying, "Hey, we're done." So to me,
it was a disgraceful act by a man who has been around long enough to know better. It was a disgraceful act that drew public ridicule and negative attention. And everyone was talking about it. By acting like that, by quitting on his team, all that did was give his critics ammunition to fire at him. And that's what they did. And you saw a social media storm after he walked off the court. Everyone was talking about how he quit and gave up. I think it was a very terrible move by LeBron, one that we will talk about for a very long time. And now today, people are probably even questioning his legacy. I mean, I understand that he's won 4 NBA titles, but he had to do it with 3 different teams. And he needed more help than some of those great ones who came before him. But I just think right there, that showed a lack of leadership. It showed me that, I don't care at this point. We lost bad. I might as well just leave the game. You don't do that. You stay out there with your team. You don't bail on your team. And that's what he did. He gave up on. He did not only give up on his teammates, he gave up on the fans too, as well, by doing that. So I just thought that was not good of him. It showed poor sportsmanship on his part. It showed, poor leadership, and it just makes you question, why do such a thing? Do you really care about this team, or are you just here because it benefits you and your family?
Now, also, back in the past when he was in the younger days of LeBron, he's going up, he's getting that thing. People were scared to play it against him and stuff like that. I didn't see that in this series. I seen Crowder looking back at him, not intimidated by his build or anything like that. And LeBron's sometimes his game is imitation, putting a fear factor on the player that he's going up against. Crowder stood right there and battled him, didn't take no step back. So you think players are now getting where LeBron's getting older and then people are not taking him very seriously like they did in the past? Because when teams played LeBron, they were scared to go up and, battle with him. Also, if you look at some of the LeBrons now, is more turning to the referees every time he gets touched. I mean, some of them guys are still in the ball wave and didn't even touch him. And he just looks back at the referee, thinks he's going to get a foul call every time he goes to the basket. But I mean, that was just great defense. I mean, LeBron did the same thing to them, fouling, don't get a call. You don't see them turning around looking at the referees and complaining about it. You see them going back on defense. Now, as LeBron is starting to get older, you think his lack of his focus, or I did see in a statement that somebody said that LeBron needs to stop complaining and get playing basketball and have a good time because he's already won 4 championships. When people are having fun, that's when the game is fun. Are you thinking now people are going to take the look at the Lakers right now and tear away and don't want to go play with LeBron no more?
Yeah, well, that was the issue with Kobe. There was a lot of people who didn't want to play with him as well, but it was a different scenario for Kobe Bryant. The reason people didn't want to play with Kobe was because of his selfishness and because of his competitive fire that was too intense for a lot of players. A lot of players didn't know how to deal with his personality. That's why a lot of people stayed away from the Lakers when Kobe was there. For LeBron, it's a little bit different. He's an unselfish player. He's a pass first, shoot second type of guy. But the issue is with him is not only the complaints, but also the fact that he's older now. Why would I join a guy who is past his prime, who is, having a hard time staying on the court now because of injuries? Why would I join forces with the Lakers and team up with somebody, not to mention the fact that I wouldn't get nearly as much of the spotlight as him because, he's LeBron James. So why would I put myself in that predicament when I could go somewhere else and play with a younger player who has fresher legs, who's a lot durable, who's faster and more explosive? LeBron's you're starting to question LeBron's durability at this point of his career. So I think that will affect free agents. I think that will also just make it hard for the Lakers to land that next superstar player. I know Anthony Davis is your guy moving forward, but the question with him too, and I know I'm going off topic here a little bit, but the question with him is, can he stay healthy a full season? That remains to be seen with Anthony Davis, because now you're going to pass the torch to Anthony Davis, and he's going to be your superstar player in the future. But you need him to stay healthy because he's your cornerstone player, and he's the backbone of that team. And they need him to be healthy if they're going to build around a guy like that. So I think it's just a lot of things that come with the territory, and then there's a lot of things, Ray, that there could be multiple reasons. There could be multiple reasons why players don't want to come to LA. Another reason could be the amount of pressure that's on you as a player playing in LA. Everyone is not built to be a Laker.
True. That's just like New York. Everybody's not built to play with the New York media up in New York with the Nets or the Brooklyn with the Knicks. So, I mean, you can make that statement too out in LA, but you still have the pressure of playing in Kobe's shadows, the all fast break Showtime Lakers shadow. You got Magic Johnson, you had James Worthy, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bob McAdoo, you had all those guys, and then you had Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and then you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So it's a lot of shoes you have to fill in that Laker organization.
Right.
Same thing with the Boston Celtics. So my question is, looking around, I know you probably watch some of the media, local media and stuff like that. What are they saying today about that Lakers game, the Lakers series against Phoenix Suns? Can you
Well,
spread any light? Are they praising LeBron?
I
Are they
mean,
getting on him now?
it was an atrocity, right? That the last two games were a tragic comedy. I mean, they were just hard to bear, hard to even sit through. A lot of the LA sports media is kind of a little bit hard on LeBron. And that's expected. You read an article. I read an article from ESPN the other day, Ramona Shelburne. She said that he is going to have a hard time now closing in on Michael Jordan, which we all knew that. You have Dylan Hernandez, who's a fantastic sports columnist here in LA. He's a sports columnist of the LA Times, and he wrote that the Lakers season was over. He wrote that, in fact, a few weeks back when they played the Denver Nuggets in the regular season game. And he wrote that it was over for the Lakers, that the Lakers really didn't have a shot. So a lot of the media out here, like guys like Bill Plaschke, who's been in the game for a very long time, they're writing stuff that is factual and stuff that makes a lot of sense and stuff that fans don't really want to hear. A lot of Laker fans out here can be delusional, sometimes unrealistic, and they don't want to hear the truth about things, But, I mean, hey, the truth hurts sometimes. It's cold, hard facts, and sometimes you got to hear it. It is what it is. I mean, LeBron is past his prime. Father time is approaching, and he's almost on his way out the door, and the Lakers are going to have to clearly rebuild. But the mood in LA right now is somber. I guess that's a word you could use for it, somber. It's the mood here right now. I don't want to necessarily say sad or depressing, but what is a word? Unsettled. Okay, the fans here are kind of unsettled. They are a bit disappointed. I guess that's an even better word to use. That fits the script, right? Disappointing because you expected the Lakers to go on this pursuit once again. A lot of people felt that the Lakers could run it back with what they had. A lot of people felt the Lakers did a terrific job this offseason by trading for Dennis Schroeder. It didn't quite pan out. They thought KCP would be more productive. He wasn't. He was also battling an injury as well. Kyle Kuzma, as usual, disappeared. His days are over in the Laker uniform. I think they'll find a trade for him next season and get him out of here. But yeah, that's a lot that's going on today. Everyone is in the aftermath of that, ugly ending to their season last night. That's what everyone out here is talking about now is LeBron James, of course, because he is the main character of the Los Angeles Lakers. And everyone's talking about Davis's injury as well. Everyone, like I just told you moments ago, they're questioning this guy's ability to stay healthy, because that's concerning to me as well. Charles Barkley made a good point last night on TNT. I don't know if you heard it after the game. He said, if I'm the Lakers, I'm going to sit this guy down and have a conversation with him and see what he's doing in his workouts because he's too young to be hurt all the time. I mean, and he is. He shouldn't be injured in this stage of his career. He should be healthy, robust, and ready to go and play. And I think that groin injury, man, it really put a dent in the Lakers season, and the Lakers really had no shot. And I'll say it again, the Lakers had no shot without AD.
Yeah, AD's if you watch the two games the Lakers won with AD in there, AD was the force that it was helping LeBron move. I mean, to me, LeBron went in that game 6 when Anthony Davis went out. I told myself LeBron had to go for at least 45 for the Lakers to have a legitimate chance of winning. He had to throw in for at least 45 points. I knew that wasn't going to happen because he's not that type of a player. He's not that type of sportsman. He's got to have that other guy that he can pass the ball to. He's got to have that other superstar who's got that killer instinct in him, which Anthony Davis does. So you talking about Anthony Davis, talking about his health, his diet issues, his workout issues. I don't think he really concentrated on his workout. If you look at him when he played at Kentucky, he looks just like he's the same person that come right out of Kentucky. I mean, he hasn't changed a bit. I mean, he hasn't put no weights on the legs. He hasn't put no weights on the upper body. I mean, Anthony Davis, I think he's still got that mentality like he was in high school, that he was a point guard in high school, and then he grew up to be a certain at 6'10", 6'11" guy. And I don't think he learned how to put that muscle on to keep himself relevant. I think they need to sit down and talk to him and say, hey, look, you need to get that physical back. You need to get that physical. You need to get strength. You need to get your diet in. And to talk about the next step, you're getting in that next step. When Michael Jordan played Detroit, he got battered around. What did Michael Jordan do? He didn't sit around and mope about it. He had a personal weightlifter trainer to get him stronger to beat Detroit. And in that following year, what happened? He got stronger. They couldn't push him around like they did the year before. So I mean, and LeBron has a good. I give credit to LeBron. He has a good workout regimen. He kept his body in good shape and stuff like that. And he's very reliable because he keeps himself healthy. But now you're talking about Anthony Davis and his health issues. Can he play a full season? We have not really seen that too well. I mean, they played in a bubble last year that helped the Lakers out really to get them in that championship because they were the fall of time. And you remember when I told you when the NBA playoffs started, they were playing going back to the regular playoffs. That means they do a lot of traveling. And I think that took a lot of issue into with an older team, because when you travel with the older team and then you got the injuries on top of that, and you flying mile high up 40,000 feet, it takes a toll on you. Right. I mean, I felt it when I was an athlete playing in high school when we traveled. You know, even though we travel by bus, you can still feel the effect on the injuries and stuff like that. So to me, what is the next steps for the Lakers? Are they just going to clean ship and keep AD and LeBron and have some more new people fill in? Or are they going to try? I mean, what are they going to really do? I think they need to get Kuzma gone. I think they try to keep Schroeder there, because Schroeder has a little bit of mismatch, but he's not consistent enough. I think that if you keep him in there next year, he might be a little bit consistent. He give you a better run because he is very quick and he's got that mismatch a factor, but he needs to find out how to utilize that. And that's the part of his game is inconsistent, because he was beating everybody off the dribble left and right, and he just quit doing that for the last two games. So, and then he tried to pick it back up last game. So to me, what are they going to do? I think Kuzma needs to be gone. They need to find more minutes from Harrell if they brought him in for a certain role, and he really didn't play that much in the playoffs. He played in this last game. He played 8 minutes and he scored 2 points. And then Andre Drummond. Remember when Freddie said, "Oh yeah, Andre Drummond's gone. That's our big three." Boom, we got Andre Drummond. That's going to set the Lakers apart. He hasn't done anything either. So, I mean, was that a bad signing of Andre Drummond at the time?
No, not at the time, because, there was some nights that he had big games that helped the Lakers win important games to even qualify for the playoffs, right? He was huge in some of those games. So his presence was definitely felt. I felt like they made a great move by getting Andre Drummond. But again, you need stellar guard play, and the Lakers didn't have that. The Lakers won last year's championship, and I'll say this again too. They won last year's championship because they had a healthy Anthony Davis. That is why they won the championship. And of course, yes, the pandemic and the bubble and all the other circumstances, as well. Yes, they won that championship. But I think there's gonna definitely be some offseason changes. The Lakers are gonna have to make some moves to get better. Again, get younger, get faster. I think Kyle Kuzma is definitely gone. He hasn't lived up to his expectations. The Lakers. I'm thinking about the Dodgers and the Braves because they're playing right now. The Lakers, they paid him a hefty penny, and he has not lived up to the contract at all. Too inconsistent. Didn't really show up in the playoffs. Didn't really, play hard at all. to me, Kuzma plays silly. He plays really, really silly. And, I just think his time is up in a Lakers uniform, and now it's time to ship him and make sure he packs his bags and get out of town. Schroeder, I don't know how I feel about him. Schroeder, I always say his name wrong. I don't care. I don't know how I feel about him, Ray. I really don't. Like you said, he had a mismatch. Okay, that's a great excuse, right? It's a convenient excuse. But when you airball a shot because of a terrible shot selection, I'm butchering my words here. That becomes an issue with me. When you blow a layup in game 4, a layup that could have, cut the deficit to 5, I have an issue with that as well. So I don't know how I feel about Dennis Schroeder, because to me, he didn't show up when he needed to. And I understand that he's fast, he's explosive, but you can find that in another player who can shoot the ball more consistently than him. You really can. So I think Rob Pelinka, man, he's going to have a busy offseason. That Laker front office, man, they got a lot of deliberation to do. They got a lot of things to fix moving forward, because this team that they have now is not enough to win another championship. It may have worked last year, as it did, but it didn't work this year. So that means you got to make some changes. You gotta retool, revamp, reload, rebuild, use whatever word you want to use. But something has to change with this Lakers team. And now it's that time that they go into the offseason, thinking things over very carefully and making the right decisions that will later benefit this team, and try to build around Anthony Davis and LeBron, because LeBron is going to be there next year. Yes, he is. Yeah, I know. But you try to build around those two guys because they're still your cornerstone players for the time being.
Now let's move along. Let's talk about the next series for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. This is interesting. This series is going to be an interesting series here. Do you think Milwaukee can stand a chance against Brooklyn?
Not a fully healthy Brooklyn team, but you know what, though, too? It's really hard to say right now until the series gets underway. Then we'll really have more of an idea who has a chance of winning this series. But when you look back at the regular season, who dominated? The Milwaukee Bucks, right? Why did they dominate? Well, Brooklyn didn't have all their body parts. They had missing pieces due to injuries, right? They were decimated by injuries for most part of their season. But also, you have to look at Giannis, man. Who's going to stop Giannis on that Brooklyn team? Can anyone slow him down? If they can't slow him down, the series is over. Milwaukee will win in 7 games. If they don't come up with a defensive strategy to try to smother that guy and to try to not only keep him out of the paint, but even stop him from making mid-range jump shots. But if you want me to choose a winner of this series, I'm going to say the Milwaukee Bucks, only because they have Giannis, and he has once again put together a monster season of his own as well. Now, I know on the other side, the Brooklyn Nets have the big three, right? Everyone is talking about the big three, and all of a sudden they became this trendy pick. It's always easy to pick a team that has 3 superstars. It's always easy to pick a team that has Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden all on the same team. That's easy. Anybody could say, if you walk on the street today and you approach the person and you were just having a conversation about sports and you ask them who you think is going to win the NBA Finals, they're likely going to tell you the Brooklyn Nets because they have a big three. Now, even a casual fan might tell you this. Someone who doesn't watch basketball all year round, they'll tell you that it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets winning it all because they have the big three. But we've seen, me and you understand sports, right? So we've seen super teams in the past not win the whole entire thing. You know, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're lacking team chemistry, and if one man goes down, and if you don't have an answer for another superstar on a team like Giannis, then that your season can implode. We've seen it happen. So I'm not going to really put too much hype around the Brooklyn Nets. I know what they have. I know what they're capable of doing. But Giannis may have something to say about that.
See, I take this series, and when I'm going to break this series down on my radio show here tomorrow. But I'm going to give you some quick pointers what I did through my research about this game. How about Drew Holiday guarding Kyrie Irving?
Ooh.
Drew Holiday is known for a scrapper defensive person. That's what he got his stripes for. I'm going to give you an interesting quote from Kyrie Irving about Drew Holiday. He said that he gives Drew Holiday a good privilege, saying that he's the only one that passes him around and gets in his head when he plays. He has forced him 3 turnovers the last two times they have played against each other. So that's one way I say Milwaukee has an advantage right there, because we already now have Kyrie talking about Drew Holiday's in his head. So that's one advantage right there. How about this? Nobody realized this. PJ Tucker, who is a reserve for Milwaukee, played with the Rockets last year. What he's known for, his defense. Guess what? He could play against James Harden. Try to slow down James Harden right there. So you got 2 lockdown defense on the trio, and Giannis and Durant's gonna cancel each other out. So if Holiday and Tucker does their job on their other two, on James Harden and Kyrie Irving, then you're going to see Milwaukee could come away with the victory. I think this game is going. I think this whole series is going to go 7 games. But like you said, we can't really tell until we get the first game involved with the two, because they got the three guys. Because the wins for Milwaukee was when the 3 guys weren't all playing together. I mean, Durant missed a couple games here and there, so Giannis hasn't really matched up against Durant this season. So that's going to be a little bit filling out in their first game. It's going to probably be a little filling out. And if Brooklyn takes the first game, I think Milwaukee will come back and take the second game of that series. And I think we're going to go 7 games, even though we have a super team in the making. But that super team also doesn't play defense like Milwaukee does. Milwaukee plays your defensive on the defensive side, and then you have the mismatch on the offensive side, because I don't think Durant's going to be able to match up Giannis going down the middle of the lane and the quickness he's got over Durant right there. So you're going to see a mismatch in the making here. And then Giannis has added the 3-point game, to his game too. So he can go inside, outside. He's that triple threat kind of guy too. He could take you off the dribble. So, the Milwaukee has that defensive knack to take this game away from Brooklyn. But then again, if they don't slow down Harden, and if they don't slow down Kyrie Irving, because your playmaking right now is coming from James Harden. James Harden is getting the ball to everybody else. He just became not a ball hogger scoring type. He became a passer in this game here, showing that he could pass and be a leader on the team. So if they stay healthy in this series, then we're gonna give a hard time for Milwaukee. But Milwaukee's got two defensive stoppers on the team to get matched up with James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Plus, PJ Tucker played with Harden, so he knows Harden's moves. So the question is, can he deliberate what he did in practice in Houston to bring it into this game? So I think this game could go 7, maybe 6, and it won't be surprised if Milwaukee did come out with the victory. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all either. They played them well during the course of the regular season, and I mean, if everyone stays healthy, and if Giannis has the performance that he had against them during the regular season, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the Brooklyn Nets to pull this one out.
Yeah. So now we're talking about this series here. How about we got the game right now, the Mavs and the LA Clippers. Mavs up 39-30. You see the ticker here. So what do you think is going on with the Clippers, and why they can't? Are they Are they physically getting outmanned right now by the Mavs?
Yeah, it's a combination of getting physically outmanned by the Mavs, and I think there's a lack of chemistry. I really do. I think there's a lack of chemistry. It's definitely not coaching because they changed coaches and they fired Doc Rivers, right? And they brought in Tyronn Lue, and that still hasn't made much of a difference for the Clippers. You know, the Clippers are about to be eliminated tonight. I think the Mavs wrap this up tonight. You know, this was a series of great anticipation, but things changed uh, throughout this series, and now it just seems like the Mavs are just athletically better than the Clippers as a whole. And then I think they really don't have a strategy to contain Luka. I mean, Luka has just been impressive in this series. He's been the guy that's doing all the damage for the Dallas Mavericks, you know. And then you had Tim Hardaway Jr. who showed up out of nowhere and had a big performance as well. I think mentally, the Dallas Mavericks were more prepared than the Clippers coming into this series, you know. And I think again the Clippers look too far ahead, you know, without focusing strictly on this series, you know, and also Kawhi Leonard's on his way out. I don't see him possibly stand with the Clippers after this season. I think he honestly goes to New York.
You think he goes away from his
Yeah,
home
yeah,
state?
I think he's gonna go back to the East Coast because I mean when he was with the Toronto Raptors, it was easy to win there, you know, because the East didn't nearly have as much star power as the West did. So I could see him leaving after this season and taking his talents to New York City. I mean, the media doesn't seem to get to him, so I think he'll fit in quite well in New York City. I don't know what they're gonna do with Paul George, but this Clipper team, man, it's just not working. I mean, there again, you could have two of the best superstars on the team and still come up short, you know. But I think it's a chemistry issue. I think it's the fact that they're on demand. I think it's also the fact that there's just too much Luka.
Yeah, Lucas got 14 minutes and he's got 13 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 10 points, and then you got Kawhi Leonard with 10 and Jackson with 15. Paul George with 9. Right now it's a 3-point lead. Dallas lead 41-38. So, you know, if you're looking at it, the Clippers are shooting 48%, 30% from three, 50% from the foul line, and then you got 48% on field goal percentage for Dallas and 36.4 from 3-point line, but they shoot 100% from the foul line. So, yeah, I think if Lucas can stay healthy here in the rest of this game, no matter you don't have to sit out a long period of time, I think they could probably put this game away here tonight and move on. So, you know, been talking about the NBA and all the playoffs. We're talking about everything about, you know, what went wrong in LA, when Lakers, what went wrong, and, you know, different scenarios here. But I want to take it back to that Lakers thing since you were in LA and all that. What are your words hearing about the firing of their head coach? Are they really talking about firing them? Or is LeBron actually going to be helping them make that decision?
Right now, from what I'm hearing, from my understanding, it's only speculation right now. You know, I think in fairness, I think you stay with Frank Wright. I think he's done a good job emphasizing the importance of defense. You know, he's a defensive-minded coach. He led them to an NBA championship. You got to give the man some credit. I mean, the only reason he comes under criticism is for the fact that he, you know, does some ridiculous. He makes some of the most craziest decisions as a head coach. You know, his substitutions and rotations are questionable. People have, you know, criticized him for those things, but overall, I think he's fairly done a good job. He's put together one of the most elite coaching staffs, I would say. You know, you have Jason Kidd as your main assistant. You had Lionel Hollins. You had Phil Humby. You have guys that on this defense that understands the X's and O's of the game. So I mean, no, don't fire him. I think that's just an overreaction from the fans, and quite frankly, I think it's a rumor. Right now, it's just hearsay. I think people can ignore that for now and focus on other things that's more important, like making this team better. By bringing in some new pieces to help with LeBron and AD.
Okay, we're gonna have a little bit of fun here now, because we all know we got Freddie Henderson, who's normally on here. He's the moderator on here and stuff like that. We know the progression that he has gone through as a Laker fan from beginning of the series for the Phoenix Suns all the way up to now. We have seen his mood swing change here and stuff like that. He was like saying LeBron was better than Michael Jordan and all that. Now he said Michael Jordan's better than LeBron. So where do you stand on his mentality of a Lakers fan to your mentality of a Lakers fan? Are you on the same bends as Freddie is, or are you on a different wavelength and knowing that you could be a Lakers fan, but you can also criticize your team? But when he criticizes the team, he has to wait till he get all the way into the dump, because you remember the whole time that if you watch some of these shows like Real Talk, he's getting on me because I'm a LeBron hater, all this stuff. Now he's hating on LeBron, so we're getting a little bit of some hypocriticism here with our colleague here. So I want to take your mindset here and say, why is Freddie wrong about everything he said leading up to the point where he's now caved in on the Lakers?
Well, he's just a passionate Laker fan, and sometimes we can be a little overzealous. We could get a little bit too passionate about our teams, and that could blind us, from the facts, and I think that's what happened with Freddie. We're not bashing you, Freddie. We're just, talking. But, I think he's like me. We just diehard Laker fans. We bleed purple and gold, and we like to support our teams. But at the same time, me as a sports writer, I know I have to be a realist as well. I have to keep it real with the fans. I have to criticize the team if things don't go right. And that's what happened. Things didn't go right for the team. So I had to be a little critical, and I was just being honest when I said that the Lakers had no shot in Game 6, and Laker fans got all mad and they took it personal, and they got their panties all up in a knot. And I tried to tell them, what was going to happen in Game 6, because I had already envisioned it based on how they performed in Game 5, of the series. So, I think Freddie, he's kind of flipped the script a bit. I know he's changed his attitude completely, and it woke him up. He saw that the Lakers didn't really have a chance this year, as we all did, but in weeks prior to,
Well, according to him, he never doubted, the Lakers was going to win the championship. He bashed me in on it. He said the Lakers going to win the championship. He said, you're wrong. The Lakers got this. We got to end, we went out and picked up Andre Drummond. Oh, we got the guy we want. Now we're going to go and turn this NBA playoffs into the playground. And he also mentioned to me on a show too. I don't know if you ever heard this, saying the Lakers don't play the regular season. They wait to the playoffs to play. What happened in this playoff? Why is this playoff different from every other playoff if they didn't want to play for the regular season?
For Freddie, man, he just likes to get you, excited. And, like I said, he's just a huge Laker fan. And all fans want to think that their teams have a chance to win. All fans want to believe that, That's a fan instinct, But for me, it's kind of difficult because I'm in a different situation. I'm not only a fan, but I'm a sports writer as well. So sometimes I got to kind of stay neutral. And, I got to know when it's time to be a fan and when it's time not to be a fan. Like when I was posting on Facebook last night, I was being an emotional fan. I'll be honest. And my emotions was raw. You know, some of the stuff I was saying that I wasn't gonna go see the Space Jam movie. Now, you know, I was posting all kind of comments, you know, and that was just emotion at the time because you get emotional when your team falls like the way it did, you know, and so I was just saying things to vent my frustration and my unhappiness, and you know, it is what it is. But I think um, Freddie put on the podcasting cap finally, and you know he was being real about the situation, and he finally opened his eyes to see what this Laker team wasn't capable of doing this year.
Yeah. Well, we got about 4 minutes here left on the show. Let's run real quick to your arch rival, the Boston Celtics. Who you think will be the next Boston Celtics coach since they put Brad Stevens in the front office?
I said yesterday that, or was it Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday. That Chauncey Billups will be a good hire for them because there's a lot of Celtic players on the team that he has built relationships with and that he can relate to really well. I like Chauncey Billups. I think he has a great understanding for the game of basketball. He has a vast knowledge, and I think he'll step in and be a good head coach, you know, for the Boston Celtics. I like him, and I think another guy who you can also look at as a head coach possibly is Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson deserves another chance. You know, he built that team that uh,
Steve Kerr took the Golden
yeah,
State Warriors.
thanks. I went blank on his name. That Steve Kerr took at the Golden State Warriors. So I know with his charisma and with his mindset and with his you know, his understanding of the game as well. I know he could do the same in Boston. It's just will another front office give him a chance because I've heard that he could be very stubborn and difficult to work with. But those are my two guys that I like to possibly take over as a head coach in Boston.
Now, since Brad Stevens knows the team because he coached the team,
Mm-hmm.
do you think he's going to make any changes on that team? Like, I have seen some rumors that Kemba Walker could be on the trading block.
It wouldn't surprise me if he is. I mean, he came in there, he underperformed. And this was a guy who was hampered by injuries, couldn't stay healthy, you know, and when he was healthy, he would either have an explosive night or he would have a night where he went missing in action. A night where he was just inconsistent and couldn't get anything going productively. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets traded. You paid him a lot of money. That's a lot on that contract. So you know you could possibly move him to another team. It's been disappointing for him since he got to Boston. So I can see them moving Kemba Walker.
You think Kemba could go back to New York where he was up, where he was born and raised at? Could he
Yeah,
go to the Knicks? Do you think he will make a Knicks a good place for him?
you know what? Maybe he will, but he would have to stay healthy. That's you could go to any team and still have health issues if you can't stay healthy. I mean, you know, but would it be a preferable destination? Sure, he's from New York. Would the fans love him there? Yes, but if he doesn't produce, they'll run him out of town in New York.
True. All right, we got a few seconds here. Let's see what we can take. So, how about I know see your Dodgers beating my Braves right now, 8-1. So, you think the Braves will overcome this 8-1 loss here tonight, probably for the rest of the series, or you think the Dodgers is going to sweep?
No, I don't see the Dodgers sweeping the Braves. I know the Braves have struggled this season, but so have the Dodgers. The Dodgers have some nights have not been able to generate any offense. They have not been able to string together quality at bats, and their pitching, their bullpen has struggled particularly. And then you have a manager by the name of Dave Roberts who is stuck on analytics that he goes with Kenley Jensen in the ninth inning. So you know the Dodgers are in probably in the same boat as the Braves right now.
Yeah, I think the Braves, tonight Aguna Jr. is 0 for 3 so far. Freeman, he has one run. He scored one run and one hit, one RBI,
Mm-hmm.
at 3 at bats. Albanese, who's been doing pretty good, he's only got one hit out of 2 at bats for the Braves. And Austin Riley's been playing strong. He's 0 for 3. Swanson's 0 for 2. And then if you look over here, Mookie Betts, one of your best players, are 0 for 3. He walked once. But the guy, you got Turner, who's doing pretty good, and you got Pujols, who scored a run. He walked and he scored a run, and it's only a bat so far. So, I mean, they got 8 runs, and they're in the middle of the 8th inning right now, so they're leading 8-1. So, I'm going to go ahead and get the Dodgers to win tonight. So, you got 2 more games in this series here, Saturday and Sunday. What do you think? You think the Braves can win Saturday, or will they win the last game of that series?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say, but I will take the Braves because the Dodgers have been struggling to win series. The Dodgers haven't been winning many series this season, and that's why they have fallen behind in the NL West, because they have not been able to win a number of series this season. It's just been their trend, and it continues to happen unless they turn it around. But I don't see them winning the series because they haven't really been successful this season at all.
Yeah, they said 2 games behind right now of the San Francisco Giants and the Padres in second place, 1 game behind.
They got swept in that series by the Giants.
Yeah. So, I mean, normally the World Series champions usually come back the following year and do have a little bit of struggles and stuff like that.
Right.
Do you really think the Dodgers will pin their ears and come back and repeat as World Series champions, or will they just get eliminated?
It'll be a tough climb for them to make a comeback. Baseball, as you know it, is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's a long 162 game season. It's not like last season where they played only 70 games and the season was over. I mean, this is a long stretch. So the Dodgers do have time to turn it around. And if their bats, catch fire, I mean, who knows what can happen. But you're trailing a very good Padres team. A team that is suddenly in the running now. A team that could take the division away from you this year. This could end the Dodgers' streak of winning NL West titles. Because the Padres have gotten better with the services of Manny Machado. Then you have Fernando Tatis Jr., who is just a fun player to watch. I have to admit, he is. He's a fun, exciting player to watch. You saw the guy hit a home run in Houston all the way to the train tracks. I mean, he's just incredible, I think the Dodgers have their hands full with the Padres this year. And right about now, I would have to tell you, my friend, that I don't think the Dodgers will win it back-to-back. Just from what I'm seeing right now, I know all that could change, but what I'm seeing from this team right now, they definitely don't have that championship pedigree.
True. That is true. To me, I think that San Francisco Giants was a surprise team in that division. I had them probably finishing like 3rd in that division right now, but they had come out of nowhere at the beginning of the season. They still playing strong here. So we're about to run out of time here on Just Say the Truth. We have brought the truth here. Freddie Henderson will be back on Wednesday for another episode of Just Say the Truth. It's been Jonathan Madison, Ray Cruz, bringing Just Say the Truth. Good night.
Good night.